Well, hey guys, and welcome to part two of our DBQ introduction videos. I hope y'all are doing well. So in the previous video from a couple of days ago, we covered how to actively read DBQ documents. Today, in this video, in part two, I want to go over how to closely read the documents. So today I also want to talk about grouping. And then we're going to do a few of these on here just to see, so you can see what I mean by the grouping. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well. And so let's get started. So again, here's how to write a DBQ, part two. Remember, this is just a little rehash from the previous video. You have to read the documents quickly. Quick reading, okay? If you are a slow reader, my advice is to start figuring out how to read faster, because that's going to be really, really important. So again, read them quickly. Remember again that this is going to be a 5-document DBQ that you're going to be doing on May 21st at home, not 7. Unfortunately, they've only released like one that's 5 documents so far to practice on. And I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and today do a 7-document one because today's video is really all just about grouping anyway. So we may or may not use all the documents. We'll just see. You must spend no more than 10 minutes reading the docs. I know that says recommended, but I'm going to change that to highly, highly, highly encouraged. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about some document work. Again, you saw this in our previous video, and today I want to go a little bit deeper into it. It says, what is the source of this document? Again, I'm going to show you this in a minute, but it's real important to pay attention to who wrote it, when they wrote it, and who the audience was. In other words, folks, you need to establish what their point of view is, because their point of view may help the particular argument that you're making. On the other hand, it may not advance your argument at all, but you do need to use all the documents. So you have to figure out what the source is. Number 2, it says summarize the main idea. Now, this is where this gets tricky, because when you're taking your exam at home with reliable Wi-Fi and you're going to have everything spread out, it would be good to have some blank paper spread out as well and number the documents 1 through 5 so that you can summarize the main idea just for your own personal benefit. I know you think, well, that's going to take a lot of time. Trust me, it's going to be worth it. How do you summarize the main idea? Simple. You answer that question. If I only had this document, how would it answer the prompt? And if you can answer that question, boom, you found the main idea. Lastly, number 3, and this is what I want to get into today, group your documents into 2 groups. 2. I mentioned in the last video that it used to be 3 groups, maybe more. We don't have that anymore. 5 documents, 2 groups, that's all we need, all right? But what do you mean by groups? Well, I said the other day that you should use pieces, P-I-E-C-E-S. These are just categories. You don't have to use them. Like I said, you only got to do 2. And sometimes, and well, this time for sure, the documents themselves are going to drive, what those groups should be: political, economic, social, intellectual, environmental, cultural, social, you name it. But you're going to need to have 2 groups. And these groups will serve as topic sentences for paragraphs, as you see right here. Okay. So let's take a look. Let's say you have 5 documents. This is just easy to break it down. You got 5 documents here. And let's say you read them and you think, okay, I see an economic group forming here. They must be talking about money. Well, there's 3 documents I can put into a group dealing with economics. Okay, so you take those documents right there that are painting an economic light, if you will, and then you put them in that side, and it's economics something something. You then have 2 documents left, and they could be whatever. They could be political, social, economic, you name it. So, so that's really all there is to it in grouping. Okay, and you'll see it kind of emerge, and I want to show you one of these here in just a second. And let me go back. I did not mean to do that. So let me now go and let's come up with some. I've picked one on AP Classroom that I want us to look at. And let me just pull it up here. There we go. I guess y'all, it would help if y'all could see it. So there we go. Okay. All right. Hopefully y'all can see this. Let's bring it up right here. And this is not how by the way, this is not how it's going to appear on your, at least I hope it's not going to appear this way on your computer screen. The documents usually are boxed out individually, but since this is from AP Classroom and it's practice, it is what it is. So you see right here, take a look at my cursor right there. Number one, it says, using the following documents, analyze ways in which Black people sought their freedoms in the Atlantic world during the period 1550 to 1800. And notice it also says to identify one additional type of document and explain how it would help your analysis. Now, I'm not going to go into much of that today, but really all that means is that once you've used all 5 documents and you're missing a point of view that would help further your argument, mention it. For example, this one here is about Black people seeking their freedoms. You know, well, as a matter of fact, let's just go through it and you'll see what documents are missing, okay? So document 1, here's the source. It usually tells you the source up front. And there it is. Thomas Gage, who is an English Catholic priest. This is an account of his stay in colonial Central America from 1625 to 1637. That's going to fit our time period right there, okay? And it is from the point of view of an English priest. So remember, this is not from the point of view of Black people, okay? So this is from the opposing point of view. Here is the document. It says here, and this is what he's writing. What the Spaniards most fear are some 200 or 300 Maroons, runaway slaves, who have fled Spanish Guatemala and their masters into these woods. The Maroons live there and bring up their children and increase daily, so that all the power of Guatemala is not able to bring them under subjugation. By their example and encouragement, many slaves also shake off their misery and join with them to enjoy liberty, though it be but in the woods and mountains. Their weapons are bows and arrows, which they use only to defend themselves if the Spaniards set upon them. The Spaniards have often said that the chief cause of their slaves fleeing to those mountains is to be ready to join with the English or Hollanders if they ever land in Guatemala. The Maroons know that they would enjoy that liberty which the Spaniards will never grant them. Okay, so it's only one document. We probably can't see a group forming just yet, okay? This is just one man's account of what's going on here. This is going to be an important document, I have a feeling, all right? So again, you're supposed to read this quickly. Let's go to document 2. Check out the source here. This is Jane Eltonhead, slaveholder and widow of a wealthy planter in the Maryland colony. Her official statement in a local court, 1656. And here's what she's saying. I discharge Francis Payne, Negro, of all debts, claims or demands whatsoever, and do this day acknowledge to have received from the said Francis Payne, Negro, the sum and quantity of 3,800 pounds of tobacco. With this tobacco, I receive full payment of Francis Payne of Northampton, Negro, for the freedom of himself, his wife, and children. Okay. Well, do you see a pattern forming here yet? Are we seeing political? Are we seeing economic? Are we seeing social? Are we seeing cultural, environmental, economic? Well, see, we're talking about business exchange, so this could be an economic thing right here. Don't know. There's about 10,000 ways to group these, but you'll probably want to read more. And let me see. I'm going to skip one of these, okay? Document 4, because there's 7 in this example. I only want to do 5. The source, here's another court record from the French Caribbean colony of Martinique. And it says here that the petition presented by Babette Bentoure, which was forwarded to us by said Babette, who is presently in the service of a Miss Palou. By this petition, she seeks her liberty, claiming to have been born of a free mother and a free father. We heard the said Miss Palou and the said Babette, who requested us to hear witnesses on both sides. We, considering the inquiries which were made since then, declare and declared Babette and all her children free and emancipated since birth to enjoy their freedom like other freed men. Okay, did you see there is a connection between the second document we read and this one, okay, and this one? So 2 and 4, I see a group forming there. I don't know what to call it just yet, but I see they have something in common, which might help my argument. Here is a document 5. This is from A Narrative of the Life and Adventures of Venture, a native of Africa. He's discussing some things in the 1750s. So you see what it's taken the time frame from our original statement, and it's bringing it into bringing it further on. We're seeing continuity or change over time. I returned to my master and gave him what I received of my 6 months' labor. This left only 13 pounds and 18 shillings to make up the full sum for my redemption. My master liberated me, saying that I might pay what was behind if I could ever make it convenient. Otherwise, it would be well. The amount of money which I had paid my master towards redeeming my time was 71 pounds and 2 shillings. The reason of my master for asking such an unreasonable price was, he said, to secure himself in case I should ever come to want. Being 36 years old, I left Colonel Smith once and for all. I had already been sold 3 different times, made considerable money with seemingly nothing to derive it from, been cheated out of a large sum of money, lost much of my misfortunes, and paid an enormous sum for my freedom. Okay, are we seeing now a grouping that document 5 might fit into? You know, as again, he's talking about slave, talking about what he had to do with his freedom, and you could tell he didn't quite have it so easy. Let's see, I'm going to go to documents. Let's see, that was 4. So 1, 2, 4, 5, and let's do one more. And I want to go down here to this picture here, and let's skip down to, and this, for some reason, this one had 8 documents, not 7. Anyway, it's practice. The source is Jean-Baptiste Antoine de Vergère, a French officer, sketch, American foot soldiers during the Yorktown campaign in 1781. So check this out right here. This document right here is simply just an image. It's simply an image. And what we're seeing there is, looks like here you have a black soldier who is fighting in some sort of a political campaign there. American foot soldiers during the Yorktown campaign. So it looks like these American soldiers or these French soldiers had black people serving in there. Well, that's interesting. I wonder what kind of group that would form if these are the documents we had to go on. Let's see here. Let's read this one here. This is just the 6th document. To Saint Louverture, the leader of the slave revolt in Haiti. I discussed this in one of my videos back in Unit 5, and his letter to the French government. See, now this one might change some things, right? Do you think that men who have been able to enjoy the blessing of liberty will calmly see it snatched away? We supported our chains only so long as we did not know any condition of life more happy than that of slavery. But today, when we have left it, if we had 1,000 lives, we would sacrifice them all rather than be forced into slavery again. The same hand which has broken our chains will not enslave us anew. But if, to reestablish slavery in San Domingue, this was done, then I declare to you it would be attempt the impossible. We have known how to face dangers to obtain our liberty. We shall know how to brave death to maintain it. And remember, he is a revolutionary. He was inspired by the French Revolution. And look at the year he wrote this. This is 4 years after the death of Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. So here he's talking about apparently something's happened in 1797 that's a little bit different than what happened in here in 1750s in a different part of Central America. So you see all these various things here. Now the groups, let's just talk about the groups a little bit. And you'll have to go back to some of these here. His point of view says that because of where they are, the Maroons are runaway slaves. And here you can tell that slaves ran away to enjoy their liberty, okay? So I'm trying to think, is this a political group? Is this a cultural group? Not sure yet. Remember, this lady here is granting somebody their freedom. What does that mean? You know, so that's an economic group that's pulling here. I receive full payment. Going to and actually group document 3, which we didn't cover, also is an economic one too. I probably should have covered that one, but I didn't. Oh well. Document 4, here is another one, free. This is talking about paying debts, enjoying freedom. There's another economic group here, right? We look at another economic group here, okay? But then when we go down here, we see a political one, right? Anytime you see something involving war, that's political. Revolutions is political. So I'm seeing our two groups pretty much extend using the few documents we look. There is an economic argument and there is a political argument. But what does that mean? What was the prompt? It says, analyze ways in which Black people sought their freedoms in the Atlantic world during this period. So all you have to do is talk about the economic and the political ways to look at that. So that's how you do a close reading of these documents. You've got to start thinking, let the documents kind of build your argument. And look here, it says analyze ways in which Black people sought their freedoms. You can see in some they ran away, in some they fought for it, right? They fought for it. They weren't granted it, so they had to start revolutions. There's our political group. And the others, you can say some people let them out of their contract, some people had to work it off, and some people had to they had to be released from that contract and emancipated by the whim of their owners. There's your economic group. There's a political and an economic. So what we're going to do, this is just one example. In our next video, and actually in our Zoom meeting, we're going to figure out, what does that mean now? How do we put this into a thesis statement? Remember what a thesis statement is. That is your argument. That is what you are. That is the point you're going to be making. Okay. So again, groupings. I'm going to put. I'll probably put. So if you've done the cold DBQ practice, which is still out on AP Classroom, go back to that and see. Or I'll put another one on there and try to see if we can work on some grouping. And then when we come to our meetings, we'll kind of share those. So until next time, this has been DBQ Part 2. Y'all have a great day and take care of yourself.